The richest people in America paid a lower tax rate last decade than most school teachers and nurses. Not because they cheated the system, not because they had offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, because they understood something about how money actually moves through the tax code. Something that is completely legal, completely documented, and almost never explained to the people it affects most. You. My name is Victoria. I'm not here to make finance complicated. I'm here to make sure they stop using that complexity against you. If nobody ever sat you down and explained how wealthy people actually think about taxes, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe so you never miss a breakdown like this one. And stay with me, because what I'm about to show you will change the way you think about income, money, and your own financial future. Here's what we're covering today. First, why two people with the exact same amount of money can have completely different tax bills. And it has nothing to do with cheating. Second, the single most important concept in tax strategy that most Americans never learn, and why that gap is not an accident. Third, how billionaires access millions in cash every year without technically earning income, and why the IRS can't touch it. Fourth, a legal strategy involving real estate that reduces taxable income even when the property is gaining value. And fifth, one move available to ordinary Americans right now that uses the same logic the wealthy use every day. Stay until the end, because the most important thing I'll tell you today is the last thing I say. Meet Claire. She's 46 years old, project manager in Denver. She earns $95,000 a year, files her taxes every April, maxes her 401k when she can, and still feels like she's slightly behind no matter what she does. Every dollar she earns, the IRS sees immediately. Her salary shows up on a W-2. Taxes come out before she ever touches the money. It's automatic. It's invisible. And it happens first. Before she saves, before she spends, before she decides anything. Now meet Dana. Same age. Dana was Claire's college roommate. They graduated the same year, had the same starting salary, lived in the same city for years. But about a decade ago, Dana stopped taking a salary. She owns equity in a small business, a rental property, and a brokerage account full of stock she has never sold. On paper, Dana is worth significantly more than Claire. But on her tax return last year, Dana's taxable income looked almost nothing like her actual wealth. And that is not an accident. That is a system. The most important concept in tax strategy, the one they will never teach you in school, the one your HR department will never bring up at benefits enrollment, is this. Taxes are not triggered by having money. They are triggered by specific financial events. The technical word for this is realization. When you earn a salary, that income is realized immediately. It's taxable the moment you receive it. But when an asset, a stock, a piece of real estate, a business, increases in value and you don't sell it, that gain is not yet realized. The IRS cannot tax an event that hasn't happened, so the value grows and grows. And the tax bill? It waits. Think about it like a jar filling with water. Claire's jar has a hole at the top. Every time water comes in, some of it drains out immediately. That's her salary. Taxes first, then what's left is hers. Dana's jar has no hole at the top. Water comes in and stays. The hole only opens when she decides to tip the jar. That decision, when to tip, how much to tip, and in what situation, is where almost all serious tax strategy lives. And it's a decision most Americans never get to make because their income never gives them the choice. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is where most people think it stops making sense. If Dana's wealth is sitting in stocks that she never sells, how does she actually pay her bills? This is the part they will never explain to you in a personal finance class because it makes ordinary income look like a trap by comparison. Dana borrows against her assets. She goes to a bank and says, I own stock worth $2 million. Give me a loan using that stock as collateral. The bank says yes. Dana gets cash. She pays her mortgage, her car, her vacations, all from loan money. And here is the critical part. Loans are not income. The IRS does not tax borrowed money. Dana is living on cash that, technically, she has never earned. The loan gets repaid later, sometimes from dividends, sometimes by selling a small amount of stock strategically, sometimes passed on with a stepped-up cost basis to heirs. The result is a person with enormous wealth and a surprisingly small annual tax bill. Not illegal, not even controversial, just structural. If this is already opening your eyes, hit the like button right now. It helps this information reach the people who need it most. And they do need it. Now let's talk about real estate, because this is where the strategy becomes accessible to people who are not billionaires. In the tax code, there is a concept called depreciation. Here is what it means in plain English. When you own a rental property, the IRS allows you to claim that the building is slowly wearing out over time, typically over 27.5 years for residential property. You get to deduct a portion of the building's value from your taxable income every year, as if the property is losing value. But here is the strange part. The property might actually be increasing in value in the real world. You might be making money. And yet, on paper, your taxable income looks lower because you are claiming this wear and tear deduction. A property worth $275,000 generates roughly $10,000 per year in depreciation deductions. If that property also produces $12,000 in annual rental income, the taxable income after depreciation could drop to near zero, or even create what's called a paper loss that offsets income from other sources. Real estate investors have understood this for decades. Most people earning a salary have never heard of it. The psychological reason most people never explore any of this is a well-documented pattern called complexity aversion. When something feels complicated, the brain categorizes it as not for me and moves on. Financial institutions know this. The tax code is thousands of pages long, not because it needs to be, but because complexity creates distance, and distance keeps most people in the simplest, most taxable income structure available, the salary. The wealthy don't have a higher IQ. They have advisors who are paid to understand the distance and close it. The gap isn't intelligence, it's access to the right information, which is exactly why you're here. So what can you actually do with this? Because this is not a video about billionaires. This is a video about structure. And some of these structures are available to you right now. Here's your action step for this week. Open your brokerage account, or open one if you don't have it yet, and look at what you're holding. If you have investments that have grown significantly, ask yourself one question before you sell anything. Is there a way to use this growth without selling? That might mean using a taxable account strategically, holding longer to qualify for long-term capital gains rates instead of short-term, or simply understanding that the moment you sell is the moment the tax bill arrives. You don't have to be a billionaire to stop triggering unnecessary taxable events. You just have to know that the trigger exists. Remember Claire from the beginning. She went home after a long conversation with Dana and did something she had never done before. She looked at her own financial picture not as a salary earner trying to save, but as someone who could, eventually, start moving money differently. She opened a Roth IRA. She started a small taxable brokerage account. She stopped automatically selling her company's stock the moment it vested. None of it was dramatic. None of it required a lawyer or a financial advisor on day one. It just required understanding that the system has more than one lane, and that she was allowed to change lanes. Here are the 3 things I want you to leave with today. 1. Taxes are triggered by events, not by wealth. The wealthy delay those events as long as possible. You can start thinking the same way. 2. Borrowing against assets instead of selling them is how many of the wealthiest people in America access cash without creating a taxable event. Understanding this doesn't mean you'll do it tomorrow. It means you understand the game. 3. Depreciation in real estate is one of the most powerful legal tools in the tax code, and it is available to anyone who owns rental property, not just billionaires with real estate empires. Your bank is not going to send you a letter explaining this. Your fund manager is not going to highlight it in a presentation. but you heard it here. And now the next move is yours. If this video gave you something, share it with one person who is building their future right now. Subscribe to Growth Victoria for a new breakdown every week, and I'll see you in the next one. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Always consult a qualified financial professional before making any investment decisions.